Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to review some of the most fascinating data points out of a Bloomberg survey of original Tesla Model 3 owners. They polled about 5,000 owners about 6 years ago now, and they redid a survey 6 years later, and there's some fascinating data points around the Tesla ownership experience, what car they want to buy next, their thoughts about Elon Musk and his latest handling of Twitter, all that good stuff. And I want to highlight the ones that I found most interesting. I'll have a link to the report in the comment section below. There is a ton of different graphs and data points and things that they've looked at, and I want to highlight my most interesting ones. I think there's a lot to be said there, and there's a lot we can sort of take and start thinking about how the company is going to perform in the future, and start to draw some conclusions on some of the latest things that have happened around Twitter, Tesla, Elon Musk, and all that good stuff. So this is a survey, again, from Bloomberg, 5,000 owners. They asked a bunch of questions 5 years ago, and then they asked them a bunch of questions again today, and they compared data sets between those two periods, and they also asked new questions given some of the latest things that have happened. So I want to start by highlighting what car Tesla owners are likely to buy next. So 75% of Model 3 owners that are planning on getting a new car in the next 2 years are considering a Tesla. And what's fascinating is over 50% of those, they're looking for a Cybertruck, with 23% of them looking for a Model Y. What's really interesting about this data point is that you would think of a Model 3 owner as somebody that just wants to buy a sedan, but in reality, half of the ones that are looking to upgrade, they're looking for a pickup truck or that style of vehicle, which I think really talks about the broad appeal of the Cybertruck. It's not just a, hey, look at this, it's a pickup truck and only pickup truck owners are gonna wanna buy it. It's very much Tesla owners, Tesla fans that are looking for that next vehicle, and that 1.8 million reservations shouldn't be a surprise given this data point. So this is my biggest takeaway here, is that it's not necessarily a pickup truck market that's going after the Cybertruck. It's really a lot of Tesla owners plus whoever else is fascinated. So not just pigeonholed in the pickup truck market. The other cars under consideration outside of the 75%, the top two are the Rivian R1S and the Rivian R1T, followed by the Ford F-150 Lightning and the Hyundai Ioniq 6. So about, call it 50% of other cars that people are looking at is from Rivian. And Rivian is a newcomer to the auto market. They started producing cars just a few years ago. And what's very interesting about this data point is that owners that are looking to upgrade or say change to a different EV, they're looking at another newcomer. They're not looking at legacy automakers. So what's interesting here is if you're a legacy automaker, you probably need to do a lot more to appeal to the electric vehicle owner today, especially if they're changing out of a Tesla to a new vehicle, which might explain Tesla's outsized success versus other automakers, as well as Rivian's really great performance as they're ramping up their SUV and pickup truck model. Now, as far as how Tesla owners are thinking about their cars and how happy they are and why they're so happy, you can see here that performance, ease of use, design, and reliability, Tesla owners are extremely satisfied with their vehicles, which probably talks about why the brand has been so successful. And then this is a data point that's super fascinating. My Model 3 has been more reliable than previous cars I've owned. Significant majority of respondents, they strongly agree or agree. They strongly agree being with the dark blue bar. Now that's something that that's not well known, is that electric vehicles are significantly more reliable than gas cars because you don't have to go to a service center to get your oil change, to look at your transmission, to change the transmission fluid, to look at your catalytic converter, your oil filter, so on and so forth. There's so many other moving parts in a gas car. So this really encapsulates and really puts to bed the story around Tesla's specifically being unreliable cars. The reality is as compared to every other car Model 3 owners have had, the Model 3 and specifically Teslas are significantly more reliable than other cars they've owned. But this is an EV story, not specifically the Tesla. It's an EV story, and that's not well understood, I believe, by many people. Again, some more satisfaction numbers. Model 3 is enjoyable to drive. This shouldn't be a surprise for any Model 3 owners. Basically, everybody strongly agrees. Now, this is another data point that might be tough to get your head wrapped around if say, you've never owned an EV or folks that are not familiar with the EV landscape. This question is around how convenient is it to own an EV or a Tesla Model 3 specifically versus a gas car? And the question is, keeping my Model 3 charged is more convenient than fueling a gas car. If you have a charger at home, significant amount of people are extremely satisfied or satisfied. But even if they don't have a charger at home, and this one's very, very important, even though they don't have a charger at home, significantly more than half of respondents said that they're either extremely satisfied or satisfied. And so what this talks about, I believe, is that even though you might not have a charger at home, the fact that you're not going to a gas station to fill up your car if you had a gas car, and you can just charge at a spot, either a supercharger or on your way to work or whatever, really doesn't take away anything from the car ownership experience for most people. And especially if you have a charger at home. If you have a charger at home, then forget it. It's significantly more convenient than having a gas car. And I believe this data set really proves that. I've experienced that myself owning an EV, and it's hard to convey this to somebody who doesn't own one, to that, hey, it's actually a lot more convenient than having a gas car because you never have to go to the gas station. You always leave your house with a full tank. And even on long road trips, you can just stop at a supercharger station or whatever. So this data point, I think, is very interesting from that perspective. And even if you don't have a charger at home, most people are satisfied or extremely satisfied with their EV versus their gas car, which again, kind of, I think, bucks some of the narrative that's out there. Now, as far as what customers want Tesla to work on next, 31% want a smaller, more affordable vehicle, similar or smaller size to the Model 3. This is the much uber compact car that should be coming out here in the next couple of years, obviously, so that should be interesting to look at. Followed much farther away by a sport vehicle optimized for off-road driving, sounds like the Cybertruck to me, and more affordable full-size sedan at 12%, so similar in size or greater in size of the Model S. So this one's pretty interesting to look at. It really highlights just what percentage of the people are really looking for an affordable car, at least the existing Model 3 owners from Tesla. Now, why some owners walk away from Tesla, and this is where we're going to start getting into some pretty fascinating data points, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. The top reasons given by Model 3 owners who sold their cars and replaced them with another brand: 22% disapproval of Elon Musk, 18% and 19% concerns about quality of service, and then 18% around the unhappy sort of thought process with Tesla's brand perception. So what's fascinating there is if you take the top three, the majority of people that are leaving the Tesla brand is specifically because of Elon Musk and brand's perception. And there's some additional data points there that we can look at, but I do want to hit the quality and service first, and we'll hit the Elon Musk variable next. So satisfaction with stores and service centers. This one's a little bit interesting and might really talk about why some folks might be leaving the Tesla experience. Mobile service, a lot more people are satisfied 2019 versus 2023. If you look at how this has shifted, significantly more people are extremely satisfied and satisfied. However, on the service center side, you can see on the red, there's more people dissatisfied 2023 versus 2019. Whereas Tesla stores and their availability hasn't really changed too much as far as how many people are dissatisfied. Basically, the same number of people are dissatisfied. But there's less satisfied people and more neutral people. This really just talks about the Tesla stores. But really the increase in dissatisfied people with service centers is probably talking about sort of that experience around, hey, we think that the reliability of the Tesla is not up to snuff. We're sort of unhappy with our Model 3. It could also talk about some of the earlier Model 3s during the ramp that were having some quality issues, that the folks are just fed up and moving away. So that's sort of a data set that speaks to that. And then here's another data point that I want to highlight, again, that talks about that concern around quality of service. So people that use the online service or the app to service their car between 2023 and 2019, there's significantly more satisfied people. But when it comes to service by phone, there's significantly more dissatisfied people. And I think what this highlights is that for people that really want a personal experience, the Tesla brand maybe is not for them as it stands right now. Everything's very automated, and I know Tesla's trying to just do away with service entirely by making it infinite, it's just a freaking perfect car. But of course, that's going to be a very, very tough thing to handle. And for those people that are dissatisfied, it's mainly because they can't talk to a person. That's what it seems like. Or if they talk to a person, they're not getting service that they believe is good enough. So this one's very fascinating. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one specifically in the comment section below. People that like to use the app and don't want to deal with a person, they're more satisfied. people that want to deal with a person are less satisfied, are more dissatisfied. Fascinating sort of change there. Now let's get into some of the data set that was collected around Elon Musk's impact on Tesla's brand and how people view Elon Musk. So the question here was, have Elon Musk's recent public statements harmed or improved Tesla's reputation? Very small percentage said it has greatly improved or improved the brand. A significant number of people are neutral, but by far the highest percentage is people think that Elon Musk's recent public statements have greatly harmed or harmed the Tesla brand. These are, again, 5,000 Model 3 owners from about 5 years ago that are probably heavily invested in the brand. And so if you're somebody who has owned the Model 3, it's from that time, you're much more likely to be dissatisfied or very dissatisfied with Elon Musk's recent statements on Twitter and all the different, perhaps, political statements he's made. Now, if we look at a little bit more in depth in that data set, Tesla owners dislike the very online CEO's persona, is what Bloomberg is calling out here. Elon Musk should stop tweeting. Most people agree or are neutral. Elon Musk should stay out of politics. Overwhelming majority of people agree or are neutral. And Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter has been a distraction from his responsibilities at Tesla. Even a greater percentage of people agree or are neutral. And so here's, I think, highlights some of the noise that has been around Elon Musk and the Tesla brand, especially if you're on Twitter or X. God forbid I call it Twitter now because it's changed its name to X. I think it really highlights here just especially earlier Tesla owners, how they feel about Elon Musk's recent statements. But what's very fascinating to highlight here is that Elon Musk's public persona with those early Model 3 owners at least looks like it's taken a pretty big hit, but they still love their cars. So it feels like owners are able to perhaps differentiate between those two, but there is a percentage of people that have left the brand or are looking to leave the brand because of some of the things that Elon Musk has saying. But if you put that within sort of context of what has been happening with the Tesla story lately, Model Y is the best-selling car in the world. So I'm wondering, I don't know if this is a calculated move by Elon Musk or what, but it does really seem like he can be himself. And yes, the brand is taking a hit, and that's a shame. It really is. But it seems like the product is speaking for itself. And perhaps that's the overarching thought, is like, you know, maybe he wants to be the individual that he wants to be, regardless of sort of how much power he has. And hopefully the product can speak for itself, and then he can be himself. Just sort of some of my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Some additional data sets here. To what extent do you believe Elon Musk's recent public statements align with Tesla's mission? A fair number of people say they, to a great extent, somewhat. Significant number of people are neutral, and then a lot of people think that it's not at all or very little. So a lot of the rhetoric around politics on Twitter, some of the things he's been saying, most people, again, early Model 3 owners, feel that a lot of the public statements don't align with Tesla's mission. So interesting data set there. Do you believe that Elon Musk is a positive or negative role model for other business leaders? Again, highlights some of the dichotomy that's going on in the world of Elon Musk. A lot of people very positive, a lot of people very negative, and then dead smack somewhere half of those two is neutral. So super split. And I think this really highlights a lot of the passion and how many people really enjoy and love what Elon Musk is doing from a business perspective. But then there's an equal amount of people that completely disagree with that. And I wonder how much of that is driven by the politics that he's talking about, or how much of that is just maybe the values of those early Model 3 owners and how, you know, their worldview and how they're thinking about the world, how it's impacting Elon Musk's ability to maybe be a role model for business leaders. But yeah, another fascinating data point. Some of these controversial ones, let me know what you think in the comment section below, because this is really what's interesting about this data, is that it's not all rosy. I mean, there's obviously things that have happened here with Elon Musk's persona, let's say, and how he is viewed by those early owners, those early Tesla owners. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, lastly, I want to cover some of the stats around full self-driving. They actually did a study around full self-driving as well on this survey, and here's some of the results. Tesla's FSD software was worth the price I paid for it. Most people strongly agree, while a significant number of people are neutral and slightly more people strongly disagree. So it looks like a majority of Tesla FSD owners are either very happy for what they paid for the product, or are just like, okay, yeah, I paid for it, whatever. I'm neither satisfied or dissatisfied. I paid the price. But there is still a significant number of people that are not super happy with how much they paid, but it's really set aside by the overwhelming number of people that are either satisfied or neutral with how much they paid for the software. Here's a graph of where FSD is performing very well and not well. So a significant number of people are satisfied with it stopping at stop signs, avoiding pedestrians, avoiding obstacles, including trash cans and parked vehicles. And then it gets worse and worse as it goes down the graph here. You can see that the worst performing ones, which you've seen on this channel as I've done a lot of FSD beta tests, navigating construction zones, turning into traffic at uncontrolled intersections, those unprotected left turns, and responding to emergency vehicles. Those are some of the ones where the system can do better. And what's fascinating about this is that this kind of correlates with my testing of the software. What's fascinating is that there's just a very small, you only need one specific situation in one of those for you to be like, unsatisfied, right? But that's fair, because if you're gonna trust the system to drive you around, you have to be super rigorous. You have to make sure this thing is as perfect as possible so that it can be adopted by the masses. So I'm glad, honestly, this study, I'm glad it was done, because it really highlights some of the points that I think a lot of us maybe intuitively had about some of the things that's going on with FSD and whatever else, but now we have some data around it that really talks, at least from Bloomberg's perspective, with 5,000 OG Model 3 owners. And really the last data point around FSD that I want to highlight, again, there's so much data in that report. I'll make sure to have a link for it in the comment section below. Tesla is on the right track toward fully self-driving cars. Overwhelming number of people strongly agree. And so they highlighted this quote at the end. I definitely feel safer driving with it. It isn't perfect, but neither am I, and we complement each other's weaknesses. And I think what's interesting about that quote is that it very much highlights my experience. Very recently, we did a 1,700-mile road trip up to Pennsylvania from Texas and down again with FSD. And I think that quote is very much encapsulates how I feel about FSD as well as an owner, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below as well. So yeah, so much data, and there's so much more in that report. Please take some time if you want to go through that entire report. I highly recommend, especially if you're an investor in Tesla, which I know a lot of you are that watch this channel, which I really appreciate, sort of using me as a resource for some of this stuff. So, but I think there's a lot of really interesting things. My main takeaway is that early Tesla owners love their cars, but they don't really love what Elon Musk is doing from a rhetoric perspective. And this is, again, probably a mismatch of values, a mismatch of worldview. Perhaps there was a sudden shift in some of the rhetoric that Elon Musk was conveying on the social media as he was purchasing Twitter and finalizing that deal. But yeah. So really, that's my main takeaway. The product speaks for itself, significantly better than anything else out there, especially compared to gas cars. People love the brand. Perhaps they don't love Elon Musk. And maybe that's what he wants. maybe he's like, hey, I am my own person. Let's just look at each other for what we do. Yeah, you may disagree with everything I say, but if you like what I do, what I'm building, then that's okay too. So I'd love to hear your thoughts below in your comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was informative and helpful. Super fascinating data points today. And we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.